glad you decided to join me for this chat about safety. We're going to be going over some pre-departure safety tips, your personal responsibility abroad, relationships and personal safety, ooh la la, and large-scale events or emergencies. Let's get this party started. Let's talk about a few things you should do now and when you're abroad to promote your own safety. First things first, please enroll in the State Department's Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, or STEP. You can do that at step.state.gov. Once you're enrolled, you'll start receiving security messages from the local embassy or consulate in your destination so you can stay in the loop on what's going on in that country. Enrolling in STEP is also really important because it's your notification to the U.S. government that you're in that country, which is very helpful in an emergency situation. Make at least 2 copies of the photo page of your passport prior to departure. Take one with you and leave one at home with a trusted family member or friend. This can expedite the replacement process if you lose your passport or have it stolen. Treat your passport as one of your most prized possessions because it really is. It's proof of your citizenship. If you have a visa, it's proof you're legally in the country. So please, treat it with the respect that it deserves. That said, we have at least one case of a lost or stolen passport every term. So if it does happen to you, please contact the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate as soon as possible to get the replacement process going. Also, make sure you set a travel notice with your bank so they don't see a random charge from Germany appear and freeze your card. Most major banks allow you to do this online. Lastly, it's a good idea to pre-order some currency through your local bank prior to departure. This saves you money as airport exchange rates are notoriously awful. Also, for safety reasons, I don't like someone to see me pulling out money at the airport when I land in a new country that I'm unfamiliar with. So you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here and get some currency before you head out. Many countries require students to procure a student visa or residence permit. It is your responsibility to work with your study abroad advisor or your program to find out the process for obtaining a student visa for your country. If you have not already discussed this with anyone, please contact the Study Abroad Office or your program ASAP. It is your responsibility to become familiar with the laws of any country in which you'll be traveling. If you have any outstanding open cases or incomplete sanctions here at USC with the Office of Student Conduct, you will not be approved to go abroad until those sanctions are complete to the satisfaction of the Office of Student Conduct. Remember, you're an ambassador to the United States of America and of the University of South Carolina. Any conduct infractions committed during your time abroad can and will be reported to us, and you will face sanctions once you return to campus. And in severe cases, you could be terminated from your program at your own expense. So, use good judgment and bear in mind that the Code of Conduct and Carolinian Creed still apply when you're abroad. Let's talk about what the U.S. government can do to help if you do get in trouble and find yourself arrested abroad. Bear in mind that the U.S. Embassy or Consulate can provide a list of local attorneys. The U.S. government cannot assume responsibility for the professional ability or integrity of these individuals or recommend any particular attorney. The U.S. Embassy or Consulate can intercede with local authorities to make sure that Americans' rights under local law are fully observed and that you are treated humanely according to internationally accepted standards. The U.S. Embassy or Consulate can visit Americans in jail. Local authorities should notify the U.S. Consulate when an American is detained. The U.S. Embassy or Consulate cannot demand your immediate release or get you out of jail or the country. They cannot represent you at trial or give legal counsel. They cannot pay legal fees and/or fines. So please use good judgment and be aware that the U.S. government and USC can do very little if you find yourself in trouble with the local law enforcement authorities. All study abroad students should avoid any protest or demonstrations. In many countries, it's illegal for foreigners to participate in protests or demonstrations. In all countries, protests and demonstrations can start peacefully and escalate with little warning. Especially if you're new to a country or new to a culture, tensions could be escalating and everyone else in the street knows, and you may not. Most health and safety issues that we see in our study abroad students arise from the overindulgence of alcohol. We recognize that consuming alcohol can be a part of learning a new culture, but please temper your consumption with concern for your well-being. Use the same methods that you would here at USC. Go out with a group of friends, be very familiar with your location, etc. Common sense is your best friend here, and that is impaired when you are impaired. Students of any sexual orientation should be familiar with the norms of friendship and dating. LGBTQ+ students may find that some countries are more welcoming and provide more legal protection, whereas others may be less tolerant and more restrictive. Consent is something that you should have a firm definition of even now. Regardless of cultural norms, if you're uncomfortable in a situation or someone is touching you in a way that you do not like or want, say it loudly and clearly and remove yourself from that situation. If that person continues to harass you, call the local police or find someone in a public area that can help you. If someone sexually assaults you while you are abroad, please share that information with your program or the Study Abroad Office. They will best be able to help you in the moment in terms of navigating a hospital or making a police report if you wish. Your program can also direct you towards resources that are available to survivors on your campus, from counseling to support groups to returning home, if you wish. Our office can also help you identify resources for survivors once you return to USC. A few ways to stay safe abroad are to go out in groups, use the buddy system to watch out for each other, or to participate in one of the bystander accountability trainings that are offered at USC before you depart. This kind of training will teach you how to responsibly and safely intervene in a situation that's escalating. The majority of study abroad programs are trouble-free. However, we're aware that some students and parents have concerns about terrorism. Terror attacks occur at home and abroad. There's no evidence to suggest that Americans are less safe abroad than they are here in the United States. In fact, the leading cause of death for college-age individuals in the States is the same as abroad: motor vehicle accidents. We want to address these concerns as an example of what USC is doing on your behalf. We monitor a wealth of information available to us. For example, we monitor the U.S. government advisories, considering both those issued by in-country embassies and consulates and by the Department of State in Washington, D.C. We also monitor international news outlets, receive guidance from several private and public intelligence sources, and are connected with a network of health and safety experts around the United States. All of that said, we have developed some tips to help promote your own safety while abroad. Do not participate or loiter in the vicinity of protests and demonstrations. Maintain higher vigilance when in crowded areas or using public transportation. Keep your mobile phone charged and with you, and be responsive to messages from your program or USC. Memorize on-site emergency contact information. Check in with your program staff if you're planning to travel away from your program location, and follow any guidelines or regulations that they have. Monitor media and local information sources and factor updated information into your travel plans and activities. Follow the instructions of local authorities, especially in an emergency. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out the other modules in academics, health, and navigating culture. And don't forget to test your comprehension of this module by taking the quiz. You'll find it to be safe, of course, and fun.